Unlike these other storied cities, together we built a whole cultural life in less than a generation. We didn't get here overnight, but it didn't take us centuries either.
This program is such an enlightening experience. Every child in the Miami-Dade area should have the opportunity to experience it and feel themselves be lifted by the power of dance and how you can say so much you wouldn't be able to with words.
Every year I see them coming back, learning, growing, getting stronger. If we didn't have Ailey Camp Miami, they wouldn't have had this great opportunity.
The nonprofit arts industry has an economic impact of $1.43 billion in Miami-Dade County. That was fueled by growth, rapid growth. It's actually how Miami got its nickname, the Magic City.
I stopped by Miami one time on my way to visit my parents in Haiti, and I could not believe what had happened to this city. What has happened here in 20 years is unfathomable. An influx of artists from everywhere that are taking advantage of the city itself, the facilities given by the city, and also the predilection of the institution to support its own. Miami is the new city of light.
More than half a century later, the name still rings true. But today, it's a different kind of magic, made possible because of you. With your support and the county's investments of public dollars, every tax dollar for the arts generates 39 matching dollars.
Art is important in that the one thing that we all do as human beings is pass stories, regardless of what we do in life. Cultural arts programs have to make the difference, the way in which we think about ourselves as a people, as Miamians. And the more we allow young people to investigate what it means to be a human being, what it means to be a storyteller, what it means to be an artist.
The Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs works hard to create a community of great cultural opportunities that we have right at our fingertips. We need to give our local artists the resources they need so they can share their talent with the world. And we need to keep allocating resources that keep the dream alive.
I want to be a professional musician.
I want to be a zoologist.
I want to become a doctor. I want to be an engineer.
I want to be a professional violinist.
But in order to do so, we need to preserve our magic. Miami-Dade Arts. Transformation through the arts.
Welcome everybody, my name is Colleen Stovall and I'm the Director of Programs and Events for the Miami Center for Architecture and Design. And right now I'd like to welcome you all and ask you to turn off your audio and keep your video off. That'll help with bandwidth and we'll have a better presentation. And right now I'd like to introduce Jason Hagopian, who is the President of the Miami Center for Architecture and Design.
Thank you, Colleen. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
All right, good to go. Thank you. Yes, my name is Jason Hagopian. I am the president of the Miami Center for Architecture and Design. I'm also an architect and principal at SAO Design Group here in Miami. Welcome to tonight's panel discussion, Miami Creative. Super exciting. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping up front. So for those of you that this may be one of the first times you've ever attended an MCAD event, the Miami Center for Architecture and Design is the place for everyone interested in design and the built environment, with community meeting space and educational programs to enhance public appreciation of architecture and design. We're also the home of the American Institute of Architects Miami, as well as the Downtown Miami Welcome Center in partnership with the Miami Downtown Development Authority. So we represent everything. The Welcome Center is everything Miami: cultural events, attractions, maps, history, and more. So welcome, welcome. And I just want to spend a couple of minutes to give you an update on MCAD, upcoming MCAD events. On April 19th, save the date, we have an event with the Copper Bridge Foundation Art Deco Rio Platense. On April 26th at 7 p.m., the MCAD Young Urbanists present Full Moon Kayak Tour. This should be amazing. If there's still room, go to our website, miamicad.org, and sign up. And then on May 20th, we're really excited to be hosting our 3rd annual MCAD Urban Warriors Awards. This will be a virtual event this year, hopefully for the last time. This is our really big fundraiser. We're honoring some incredible people that have affected our urban fabric all around us. So happy to mention these events. So I am gonna pass it over to, is it Cheryl? I'm not really sure, yes. Sorry if I messed up the agenda. Yes, thank you. Passing it over to Cheryl, and she will take it from here. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to, I just wanted to, before I introduce the panelists, and Colleen, maybe you could share your screen with some of the images from the book. I'm excited to offer this exhibit, that we have this wonderful exhibit curated by Barry Fellman from his book. And he came to me, gosh, I don't even remember how we connected, Barry. We can talk about that later. But, you know, was interested in maybe doing an exhibit. And I thought this is something that's so perfect for us to show how culture has grown over the last decade, and also how it has affected public space and the built environment. So there are many more photographs in the book than there are in the exhibit, but the book is wonderful, and I highly advise you all to get it. But we are going to have virtually the exhibit on our website soon. It was just scanned, but also we are having in-person viewings by appointment. So slowly, you know, dipping our toes into being open again. With that, I'm going to introduce our panelists. I want to get right to the meat of the program. So first, let me introduce our curator and author, Barry Fellman. Barry, if you want to unmute yourself. Barry's photographs have been exhibited in museums, galleries, and public venues in South Florida and nationally. He's a native Miamian, or should I say Miamian, has contributed to the cultural landscape as an artist, educator, and curator. He currently serves as director of Center for Visual Communication, and his most recent photo book is Miami Creative, A Decade of Transformation. It was featured at the book fair as well. Then let me bring next the gentleman who needs no introduction, but I'll introduce him anyway, and wrote the foreword to the book. Alberto Ibargüen is president and CEO of the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation. And I doubt that there's anybody on the call that doesn't know, but just in case, the Knight Arts Foundation promotes a more effective democracy in the United States through initiatives that support informed and educated communities, specifically through grants to support free expression, journalism, community engagement, arts and culture, and community and research into the impact of media on trust and democracy. And Alberto was the publisher of the Miami Herald and El Nuevo Herald for quite some time. And during his tenure, the Miami Herald won 3 Pulitzer Prizes. So Alberto, welcome.
Thank you.
Next is Laura Bruni. a longtime friend of mine, one of the first people I met when I moved to Miami. Laura is president and CEO of the Arts and Business Council since 1988. It's hard to believe that we've been doing this for so long. Laura has helped strengthen South Florida's cultural community through the Arts and Business Council. Under her direction, ABC has become a vigorous and effective catalyst for building working partnerships between the corporate and cultural communities. And when I first met her and was on the board, it was called Business Volunteers for the Arts. So it has grown. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Carl Juste. Carl is an award-winning photographer, and since 1991, he has worked as a photojournalist for the Miami Herald. He has covered national and international stories for the Herald, including assignments in Haiti, Cuba, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iraq. In addition, he has worked on various documentary projects for History Miami, including At the Crossroads, Afro-Cuban Orisha Arts in Miami, and several others. His work has been exhibited in Cuba, the Dominican Republic, the United States, all over, and also as part of his ongoing independent work, in 1998, he co-founded Itis Photo Collective. So welcome, Carl.
Thank you. Thank
you. So let me start with Alberto. Tell us a little bit, you've been in the area for many years, and what was your perception of the cultural scene 10, 15 years ago?
Well, I think 10 years ago, you were beginning to see what we have now. I think 20 years ago, it would have taken a lot to imagine that we were in the next short period of time, we were going to build 2 or 3 important museums. We were going to build a couple of concert halls, that we were going to build an opera house, that we were going to have stabilize the ballet. We were going to that Art Basel was going to take off like it did and go from one important, hugely important international art fair to that plus, 20, 25 art fairs that happened around the same time, that Miami was going to become a cultural magnet. You saw the video, the kind of impact that's had on the economy is only exceeded, in my mind, by the impact that it has had on the psyche, the sense of who we are in Miami, what Miami represents. And our interest at Knight Foundation in community building is also very importantly about both of those. You need a good economy, and you need a good, clear sense of who we are in order to build community, and you need to have people who have something that binds them to place and to each other. Our research with Gallup years ago, and it was really quite extensive. It was over a 3-year period of time, then subsequently double-checked 10 years later. But the initial research with Gallup was, I think we must have interviewed, it's literally in the hundreds of thousands of people in 29 cities across America over a 3-year period of time. And each year, consistently, art and culture kept on coming up as hugely important of a reason for why people commit to a place, why people belong to a place, feel like this is for me, this is my place. And finally, the arts is something that can accommodate the kind of diversity that we have here. You can have a wonderful feeling of belonging because we all look alike, or we all share the same political view, or we all work at the same factory. There's none of that here. This is a place that is where 3/4 of us were born someplace else, half in a foreign country. Some of us are Black, some of us are white, some of us are Asian, some of us are Hispanic. It is, I think, one of the glories, one of the challenges, one of the great opportunities of it is precisely its diversity. And it's one of the reasons why we picked arts. We didn't do it happenstantially. We didn't back into it. We purposely picked art and culture as a key funding area for Knight Foundation, as a way to merge Miami, to bond Miami to itself and to its people. I think it's been great work. I think we didn't do anything other than recognize what was happening already, because I said in my introduction to Barry's terrific book, this stuff was bubbling. This is an overnight sensation that took decades to build. We had the terrific book fair. It was like the third biggest book fair in the country, and a terrific international film festival. And Art Basel didn't choose Miami just because of the weather and the geography. They chose Miami because there is a culture of collecting that is an art form. It's a different kind of art form. It's not the same as Carl's photography or somebody else's painting, but it's an art form. And they recognized that there was something here. There's something in the air, something in the water that was really happening. They too decided to leverage and accelerate the trend. That's what we tried to do, and I simply couldn't be happier.
Thank you, and I agree with you 100%. It's really amazing how it's happened. Barry, I want to ask you, what was it that inspired you to create this book, this wonderful book?
I was always enmeshed with the art scene, and as a native, really tried to participate as much as I could. And I know how much it means to artists, whether it's in the performing arts, music, ballet, theater, or the visual arts and galleries, or even some of the really independent artists who we are lucky to have here that are performance artists, some of which in the gay community featured on the front of the book. Like Alberto said, all this was bubbling up, and the depth and richness of our arts community and how it connected and how it let us bind, as Alberto said, to each other and to place was always something that was kind of part of my inner self. And I thought at this confluence of the time when digital photography was making it cheap, like almost cost nothing to take a picture. I used to go out and bring my film camera and worry about conserving film and the costs of developing it and the cost of the environment of using the chemistry. With digital cameras, about the time I decided to start the project, I was able to capture enough of an image to really go to hell with myself and take as many pictures as I wanted to. And then the age of Instagram came and everything really blew up. But the inspiration was always there, and then the technology came for me to really realize it. And although I started with the digital stuff maybe in 2007 or 8, it was really a decade that I wanted to feature, this last decade, and kind of came at the same time as COVID. So when the book was ready to be designed in February, a year ago February, I spoke with the designer, and in March we were diving into it, and I said, we just have to change the focus. So what was something originally more about place is really turned into something about joy and community. And I hope that comes through, and I'm really pleased that you've invited me to share these thoughts in the exhibition.
It definitely does come through. And the thing that that inspired me to work with you on this exhibit is how this growth in the arts has affected our public spaces and our architecture. It's not just about you know, the arts groups and the performing arts and the visual arts, but it's about new buildings and new infrastructure, which is really exciting. So Laura, when I was trying to remember how many clients you had when I first started getting involved, if you can talk about that a little bit and how Arts and Business Council has just exploded and the number of clients even that you have now.
Yeah, we are excited to celebrate our 35th anniversary this year. And when we started in 1985, there were 121 nonprofit arts groups in Miami. Today, we work with over 1,200 nonprofit arts groups. And we also have the whole creative ecosystem. So we have the freelancers and the creative industries. So from when we started in 1985 to now, it has been an amazing transformation. And I think Alberto was right, spot on when he talked about it didn't happen overnight, but to people who weren't working in the underground and helping all this get up and running, it seems to people like, wow, Miami just all of a sudden exploded into a great global cultural community. But we started working with all of the artists and the groups and getting people to recognize that Miami was a great place as an artist and an arts professional to live and to work. And I give a lot of the credit to the Miami-Dade Department of Cultural Affairs for really being cognizant of the value of having a big, diverse, innovative cultural community. So they've always been very, very cognizant of supporting not just the major institutions, but also grassroots groups, smaller groups. And I think Alberto, the Night Arts Challenge also really helped with that because it funded organizations and arts groups to think outside the box and to be able to ignite their creativity without worrying about, are we going to put this on and we're not going to make our money back? So I think that really was a big part of what happened with the community also. But I think that we also have a community that loves the arts. We have a community that's hungry for interaction and hungry for culture. And one of the other awesome things we have besides the major institutions and how the arts have transformed downtown Miami in the past 10 years. And I picked this screen, this virtual background today, because this picture, I'm kind of in the middle of it, but it shows how important the arts are in the downtown urban area, that we have the museums, we have the Arts Center, and the arts really play an important role. The DDA says that the arts were one of the major reasons that the condos and all the buildings downtown have been built and been so successful, because people want that urban experience. They want to walk to the arts. They want to have festivals. They want to have cool pop-up things going on at the Metro rail stations. So in addition to the urban core, though, we also have arts all over South Florida. We have arts in our neighborhoods. We have the South Miami-Dade Cultural Arts Center. They're building a big new cultural arts center in Westchester. There's the Aventura Arts Center. So people can find arts in their parks, in their neighborhoods, and there's institutions and festivals all over Miami. There's more festivals in Miami than days of the year. So there's a lot of great ways for people to integrate. And I'll close by saying one other thing that I'm always really proud of is that in 2019, over 16 million people attended the arts in Miami for that year. That's more than sports, and sports always get a lot of headlines. And Cheryl and I are big Dolphin fans. And I always tell people the arts never have a losing season. So it makes more sense to attend the arts. And the arts are also a huge draw for cultural tourists. We had over 5 million cultural tourists come to our destination, specifically because they wanted to experience our cultural community.
It's true, and hopefully, once we get everybody vaccinated, we can start having our festivals again. And you know, I think that's been the hardest thing. I went recently with Laura actually to a live performance at the Arts outside in the courtyard that they have there. And I also went in January to the 7 Deadly Sins, and it was like I was almost in tears just to be there and to you know, I didn't realize how much I had missed going to a live performance, and I think all of us are looking forward to starting that again. So Carl, thanks Laura. Carl, I saw in your bio that you came here in '65, so you were 5 at the time. You were
I went to New York and then I came to Miami in '73.
Actually, in '65, he wasn't even born. Don't let him.
Okay, all right. His parents came then.
Yes.
Alberto, the check is in the mail.
But I know that you've been here for quite some time and seen the growth, especially through the eyes of a photojournalist. And, you know, how has that affected how you do your work and the kinds of things that you cover?
Well, you know, Miami is a global city. It is a city where people venture to not because of a need of exploration, but a need of desperation. It is a city which has an open arm, very much like New York. But it's also a city where we have to take in this need of freedom and self-expression. You know, my father left Haiti under fear of persecution, went to New York. And upon which, visiting Miami on business trips, he felt that Miami is the closest place to home. And for artists, Miami is home, not because art is some leisure activity. For artists, for communicators, for those who wish for a better society, art is a necessity. It is as important as breathing itself. It is what allows those who want to pick up arms might choose to pick up a camera or a brush or a pen. My weapon of choice is my camera. And for over 30 years, I've had the privilege of creating art on a daily basis along with my colleagues at the Miami Herald. You cannot find better prose. You cannot find better visual documentation that I know, of my personal opinion, than in the Herald. I am proud to be at the Herald. And it was the first time me and Alberto met. And when Alberto left, I thought, oh my God, okay, what's gonna happen to us? But he didn't tell me he was gonna stay here. And he was going to incubate this dream that thousands of many people who left their homeland for a better life, he was gonna create an environment in which they can come in and claim a new land, a new home. I am, in full disclosure, I am an Art Challenge winner, thank you, Alberto, and also an art champion. And the Knight Foundation, along with other art incubators, have been the driving force in able to create a community, an art community that not only has equality, but has equity. And I think, you know, we're better for it. I think that we are a place that's really is in the present. We're contemporary, but this is what the future looks like. All you have to do is walk down the streets of Miami. You want to see what the world's going to look like if we do it right? Do we have challenges? Yes. Well, Knight Foundation, huge support of local journalism, have been the forefront in protecting the fourth estate, one of the most important pillars of democracy, which is the freedom of the press. I'm in a very unique position because to me, I do not separate expression and art. They're both intertwined. They both are integrated in my sense of a free society. I have been blessed, but as my father once told me, what much is given, much is required. And I truly believe we are better as a community because of this art ecosystem that's very mature now. But we have a lot more work to do. We need to connect all these beautiful places and create a network where if you're in Aventura, you feel comfortable going to Little Haiti and see Edouard Duval-Caillé. Or you might feel comfortable going to Sweetwater and go to the Frost Museum. We need to build these interconnections because when we're connected, we're no longer I or me. That's when we become we. Our newspaper tries every day to deliver on that promise. And it's a beautiful struggle, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful struggle. So if you ask me, the last 40 years covering this community, it has been a pleasure. It's been difficult at times, but I would not want to be anywhere else because this is where the magic is conceived. And this is where the magic is performed. Maybe on a stage, maybe on a palette, maybe through a voice, maybe through a prose. The magic is not a building. It's not the weather. It's the people that navigate through all these various different spaces. So I'm glad to be part of this amazing magic, and I'm glad I work for a paper that salutes this magic within all our challenges. Yes, would I want to have an art critic and more arts in the paper and be able to have a writer that's solely dedicated to art or architecture and culture? Yes, I would. But you know, journalism is really starving, and we have institutions like the Knight Foundation that understands that, and that's been very helpful. But we have a lot of challenges ahead of us, and we're gonna need many brave souls. But how best to create an army of creativity than through the arts?
You're absolutely right. And and full disclosure on our part, we also have been a Night Arts Challenge winner. So, in only our third year of existence. So that was a wonderful opportunity. And I think that you're right, Carl. Collaboration is so important. I think too often, even in the arts community, we tend to work in our silos, and that's one of the great things that the Arts and Business Council also does, is enable, bring all these groups and individuals together to plan and talk and look at ways to make our community better. So, Alberto, we've talked around this a little bit, but what do you see as the most significant influence over the last decade of the arts community?
Honestly, Cheryl, I think it's hard to say what's the most significant influence. Is it the fact that we had a community of collectors that attracted Art Basel, that created so much international attention for art in Miami? Is that it? Is it the fact that we had Pritzker Prize after Pritzker Prize architect coming to build buildings, whether it was the Herzog de Meuron PAM or the Caesar Pelli Performing Arts Center, the Arts Performing Arts Center, where I'm proud to tell you my favorite building is the Night Concert Hall, or the Frank Gehry. I know you're surprised, but it really is the better one. But the Frank Gehry New World Symphony. Is it the architecture? Is it the fact that New World Symphony, from the beginning, unlike the Art Center, from the beginning, and they had the advantage of being maybe 5-6 years after, so maybe a little bit more. The technology had changed so that New World Symphony was able to, with funding from Knight, that New World Symphony was able to create a state-of-the-art technological operation that was able to broadcast anywhere in the world. It was an absolutely phenomenal move forward. Or, as somebody just said in the chat, is it the fact that you had on the street in Miami a whole cast of artists of every type and stripe and variety? Our strategy from the beginning was to be the second or third biggest funder of institutional art in Miami. So we are, in fact, the second or third biggest funder of PAM, New World Symphony, the Frost, the Performing Arts Center, the Miami City Ballet, but we're also the biggest funder of grassroots arts. It's one of the reasons why we go up to Little Haiti and take Carl's advice and what to fund there. It's one of the reasons we have the Night Arts Challenge that has no rules. It says, well, it has 2 rules. It's art in Miami. And from then on, you can have a miniature golf course. This is an actual grant, a miniature golf, I think it was about 10 or 13 years ago. A miniature golf course was unused for a couple of years. And a local sculptor decided, hey, I've got sculptures in my garage, and my sculptor friends have sculptures, and we don't have a place to show them. And they convinced the owner of the property to let them use the putt-putt golf course to put up a temporary sculpture garden where they had, this is great. And we also put the Cleveland Orchestra, one of the world's great orchestras, in the pit live of the Miami City Ballet. That's the kind of range, and we created handmade books, and we had all manner of literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of arts grants, and even then we only just scratched the surface. We were just trying to create noise, create attention. So I would find it hard to say what was the single most. In fact, I would refuse to say what was the single most because I think it wouldn't be true. I think there is no single most. Do you say that I certainly do not say that this is a Knight Foundation creation. It takes Knight, it takes Arison, it takes Perez, it takes Brayman, it takes all that. And it also takes 10,000 artists working without the kind of notoriety that somebody who can put up enough money to put the name on the wall, to put the name on the side of the building, people who are simply good artists or even great artists who are working, toiling every single day. What I love is to see the development of things, to see the Art Center from Miami Beach become Oolite under the direction of our friend Dennis Scholl, to see the kind of things that Carl has done at Little Haiti Cultural Center, to see the book that, Barry, I'm going to give you a plug, because I happen to have the book right here. And this is a crazy history of Miami. And why is it crazy? Because it is crazy. It's nuts to think that this is going to happen, period, and that this is going to happen in a decade. It has been a wild ride. It could not have happened if it just simply started 10 years ago, even 20 years ago. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you bring together cultures. Nick Griffin wrote a book called "The Year of Living," the Year of Dangerous Days. It's about 1980 in Miami. It's the year in which the McDuffie riots happened. It's the year in which arguably Miami truly turned its eyes toward international. It's a year of cocaine and reaction against that. It's a year, the author argues, that really basically set the stage for what was going to be the new Miami. Did that happen overnight? No, that was the tipping point. There were trends that were going there, and that's how I think you need to understand the life of a city. 1959, 60, 61, there was air conditioning that was happening during the 50s. There was jet propulsion that was happening during the 50s. And air conditioning made Miami livable year-round. Jet propulsion made Miami much closer. And in 1959, Cubans changed Miami culturally. And so you have three things that are totally unrelated, one to the other. And you think about it, and you think, holy cow. And it all happened at the same time. This is Malcolm Gladwell's tipping point theory happening over and over again. 1980 was something like that. I'd say maybe it wasn't just the 1 year, but I'd say this last decade was the result of a tipping point somewhere around, I don't know what it would be, maybe a little bit after Art Basel, when things just burst. They just burst and really became an unstoppable force. I hope it's an unstoppable force. I don't believe anything is unstoppable. Anything man-made is man destroyed, potentially man destroyed. So we have to always keep on tending to it and keep on paying attention to it. And that's why I'm thrilled to participate in discussions like this one, because this tells me people continue to pay attention and continue to look for, why is it happening? How can we make it better? How can we move? How can we include more people? How can we make this more about everybody? How can we make it so that there are more wall casts like that are for families to come and picnic and hear great music? We're actually funding something like that at the University of Miami. It'll be the night rehearsal hall, and I hope that since it's right next to the practice field at the university, that they will take us up on our offer to fund something like the wall in Miami Beach, so that there'll be that kind of thing in Coral Gables. I think this place is just full of possibility. We haven't even talked about film, dance. It is, we can go on and on.
It's true. I've been coming I'm from Daytona Beach originally, and I've been coming to Miami Beach with my parents since I was a little girl. And it's just amazing to me. I moved here in 1987. How everything has grown and changed, and the amount of people and the kinds of people that are here and involved and making this better. And Laura, APC is an organization that mentors and nurtures nonprofits. And how important is that to the continued growth of the creative industries?
Well, I think it's a perfect segue to what Alberto was talking about, that organizations like the Arts and Business Council 30 years ago helped lay the groundwork for what has transformed into Miami's cultural community. We provide capacity building, we provide resources and tools to hundreds of organizations to help them succeed. A lot of the small and the mid-sized groups are started by artists that just want to create. They don't want to be small businesses. They don't want to be administrative. And we really help guide them so that they can create, but also succeed and thrive. So we really help to lay the groundwork with organizations like the Theater League and the Greater Miami Festivals Association and Americans for the Arts. We're the local chapter for Americans for the Arts. So there's been a lot of infrastructure building in Miami and around the country around the importance of the creative ecosystem and how can we, we're at that intersection of putting arts and business together. So we provide volunteers that share their skills with small arts groups. We also provide opportunities for artists and arts professionals to network together and explore ideas of how can we work together? How can we leverage what we're doing to make things better for everybody? How can we expand our audiences by growing what we're doing together? So we really work to nurture that core group and to really provide the resources and the tools they need. And I think now more than ever, we've been keeping the arts in business. And last year, we pivoted all of our programming to virtual. And we had huge cuts in funding, but we were able through PPP and other funding to keep all of our staff. And we provided office hours and we provided direct assistance and we did cost benefit analysis with groups to help them figure out what we have to cut funds, we have to cut staff, how can we strategically do that so that we can stay in business. And now we're doing a lot of promotion around our Arts Connection and our social media and Artburst, which is Miami's media hub for the arts and one of our signature programs. We're really promoting the arts comeback. And so we're sending out monthly newsletters listing, here's all of the arts openings and here's where you can go. And we just this week did one of our MAMP workshops on virtual arts events and how a lot of those are gonna become hybrid events because the groups that have been doing virtual have found, they never would have tried it, but now they found that live streaming, we had DDA, Kim Hills from DDA, talking about a DJ arts program that they did, that they put on Facebook around the world, and they had 25 million people tune into it. We had Rhythm Foundation, who throughout the pandemic has been doing live streaming from the North Beach band shell, providing funding to those artists and those bands and the arts groups, and taking their role as cultural facilitators to make sure the artists are paid and make sure, and the Art Center has been doing that. I mean, the museums have been doing that. So we've really been playing a major role in helping the organizations create that opportunity to help the smaller groups stay in business. A lot of the parks now are opening up and smaller groups are performing there. So I think that the arts will certainly not be undone in Miami, that the COVID has provided a devastating hit. But I think, like Carl was saying, that it's also showing how collaborative we are and how much we all want to work together and take care of each other. And I think in a year, we're going to be even better than ever because there's so much pent-up demand for what we provide.
I know, people are going to be going crazy. You know.
I hope so.
Me too. Carl, I wanted to, this is something also, Barry, that both of you can talk about, but getting back to our photography exhibit and the book, Carl, how can photography, or how is photography used to tell a story? And in the case of the book, the story is of the Miami cultural scene.
Well, photography it's based on the visual language, which is the language we all learn first. We all become bilingual because art is so dependent on that language. Because pain in Helsinki is the same as pain in Haiti. It may not look exactly the same, but if you see a child crying, immediately you understand that child hurts. And so photography is our common language, or the visual language. May it be in music, may it be in dance, may it be in a painting, may it be in a sculpture. That, I think, is the connection that speaks to our humanity. You know, we're talking earlier, and you know, I went on to talk about the Knight Foundation, how great they are, and then they are. But because they helped develop this ecosystem, they're small and medium-sized art incubators, Ulite, who have invested in the visual arts, the Green Foundation, the Miami Foundation. And what makes pictures that to have so much impact is because we could believe in them. Even if they're self-created, when a picture captures a truth, when a picture retells a truth, it makes us all better. You understand? Yes.
Your pictures, Carl, more than any other Herald photographer in my mind, really go at the heart of why you're there and what you see in your heart when you're at a place photographing. And I just say that sensibility was something that I thought was very important to pivot towards with this project, because those truths that you talk about are there in front of us every day and every place we go, and especially visible and apparent on the surface in the communities where arts presents their innermost thoughts, ideas, their feelings to us through their performances, through their music, through their stage performances, and through their visual art, whether it be painting or photography. And one of the things that I really tried to do, because of the large amount of pictures I had, this was really the second book, because I pivoted from place to community and to connection. So in every one of the pictures in this book, I felt it was important to show something where there was a story and a truth. And I hope when those people that look at the pictures keep that in mind, that these pictures together tell a story. But like yours, Carl, each picture has its own truth and story. And I think that's what you're so brilliant at in bringing to the Herald.
Well, that's what
the amazing thing in this book is that most of the pictures are about people. People engaging in the art, people communing, people with each other, people dancing, people painting, people looking. And somebody else would have done a picture of arts in Miami. They might have done buildings, they might have done photographs of the paintings, photographs of performances. This is a book about a community enjoying itself. It really is wonderful in that way. And I have to tell a story about Carl Juste as a photographer. So Carl says nice things about me, but you have to know you have to divide by half at least. And I always do that about him. From the time that we were working together, he was one of the Miami Herald photographers who went to Afghanistan. And when they came back, they being another photographer and some reporters and so on, I decided to put together a Sunday magazine just devoted to the photography by our photographers and the writing by our writers. And when we looked at the thing, and I said to Carl when we were talking about it, I said, I hope you followed my advice and you took care of yourself and you protected yourself at all times. And he said, oh yeah, no problem at all. I was very, very careful and so forth. One of the photographs that comes out in that Sunday section is of I think it was 2 or 3 young Afghan men who have just been fired at, and they're all sort of like this, and the picture is taken from about a foot away, sort of looking up. And I said, yeah, like, this is protecting yourself. You had to be right in there. That mortar missed you almost hit you more than it hit the soldiers it was intended for. This guy, Barry said it. I mean, he just feels, and he feels because he gets into it. This is what an artist does. This is what a storyteller does. You don't tell about them. You get into that story. You make it yours, and then you share it with the world. It's absolutely wonderful.
Barry, I'm going to say one thing. I was skimming through your book, and then I started pausing, and I started seeing myself.
Nice.
I started seeing the people that I interact with every day. And when we were off, before we came on, I said to you, Barry, I think your choice for the cover of this book was dynamic, it was brave, and it was truthful. And it represents the Miami that we really are. Not the one that we see on TV. Because, as an immigrant, it's really hard to make people understand the audacity of hope. It's really hard. And I think your book speaks to that in so many different veins. Having said that, I have to give thanks to all our art writers, people like Jordan Levine, Alyssa Turner, who writes about these cultural events and who keep art in memory.
You said it so well, Carl. And really the book and your sense of celebrating the individuality that each of us are as artists and each of us are as consumers of art was a real conscious decision about what to include in this kind of second version. The first one, of course, won't be seen, but you hit it right, the nail right on the head. This is a celebration of who we are as individuals, artists, and as a community.
Congratulations, Barry.
Also, Carl, I was just about to shout out to Jordan Levin, who is on the call, who worked with Barry on the book and wrote the text for the book and helped him edit, I think.
She worked extensively, I must say, with me. Maybe
you want to say hi, Jordan?
Anyway.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the shout outs. Yeah, no, Barry, it was a privilege to contribute to this and to write the story that I've lived, and that you were open to doing it in a creative way and to see your vision and try to express that. It was a great experience, and thank you for giving me the chance to do it.
Well, the thing I said to you at first, Jordan, I can remember, is that I know whatever direction you'll choose, you will give it heart. And I didn't use the word truth, but I used a similar word. And heart and truth is what you gave it. And you just did a knock it out of the park essay about who we are and our connection and how we've really led the force of Miami becoming a world-class city. And thank you, Jordan, for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for asking me.
So thanks, Jordan. So Laura, talk for a minute about, and I think any of you can talk about this, is, how really do you think that move to kind of digital and virtual engagement and outreach will change how we interact with the arts, and do you think it is going to be more permanent?
I think the opportunities are boundless, actually. I think it's provided artists and arts groups with the opportunity they wouldn't have tried to do virtual programming. And they've also learned that if you want to really have professional looking virtual programs, you have to have professionals working with you, and you have to do your homework and learn the trade. But I think it's opened up the organizations for people all over the world to see, and it's opened up the opportunity to bring artists on a screen from around the world where we can all interact and share that experience. So I don't think it will ever supplant, I hope it never supplants live arts, because there's nothing like being in a collective cultural experience and sharing those memories and having those memories. And those memories are what make the arts so important and vital to people's lives. But I really think a lot of the groups that have started doing this have seen a great opportunity to expand their audience and to continue doing virtual. Some of their events is virtual, some is hybrid. And now I'm also hearing from a lot of groups about performing outside, that now they're being forced to do that, and that they've seen there's like a lot of different opportunities in parks and in these different venues to really do exciting, innovative programs. Miami City Ballet did an awesome pop-up series that they did all over in unusual places. And kind of like, Alberto, do you remember Random Acts of Arts that Dennis Scholl used to have?
Random Acts of Culture.
Random Acts of Culture. It reminds me of that, where now like you can see people performing outside on the streets and all over, and, you know, bringing culture all over. So I really think it's going to be, I think it's going to be helpful, and I think it's going to be here to stay for some groups. And I think it's going to provide, the whole digital field for the arts has so many opportunities that, I mean, we won't even get into visual arts and NFTs and all that stuff, that there's a whole new digital realm out there that I think this has opened up the eyes of a lot of people, and I think it's going to continue to expand.
I think it's absolutely it's what well, but let me put it this way: it is what we're funding. We did a first round of at the beginning of the pandemic. We did a first round of COVID relief funding, and then for the rest, I told my folks in journalism, in community, in arts, look for innovation. Look to fund people who are going to say, let's roll up our sleeves and see how we help ourselves. How do we use this new expertise that we all have? Look at us. Look at this meeting we're having. This would have been, we just simply wouldn't have even thought about it a year and a half ago. And here we are having this, you know, as if we've done this all our lives. We haven't. We've done it for about 37 minutes. And now we're acting like we're something special. We are, but this is the way it's going to be, and it will be some kind of hybrid. And I think we need to figure out who are the smart folk who are going to figure out that if I put my collection up, or if I put stuff up, I'm going to actually get people interested in coming to the museum, or I'm going to actually get people interested in coming to the ballet. I think Lourdes Lopez, the head of the ballet, is one of the people that she did not come with a digital background. She is a convert. She has seen the future, and it is us. And she did those pop-ups that you just mentioned. She also did an amazingly sophisticated Nutcracker this December that was outdoors in Doral, not at the theater downtown in Miami, outdoors in Doral, in the plaza in Doral, part film, part in person. And I hope when they do it next year that they will go the final step and stream it, so that anyone, anywhere in the world who wants to see a Balanchine Nutcracker will be able to see the one that we're putting together here in Miami, from the City Ballet, from the Miami City Ballet. Rainer Krenstetter, one of the principals at the ballet, started doing rehearsals from his kitchen table. He held the chair as his bar, and he got exhausted, and he sweated, and he drank water, and he told corny jokes. It was absolutely terrific. I can't dance any better now than I did before, But I really enjoyed seeing this and having this insight into his process, having this insight into how he thinks. Franklin Sermons doing interviews at PAM, students at the New World Symphony putting together a concert, each one of them in their apartment, but bringing it all together virtually. These are the things that that I think are about our future. And if anybody is not paying attention to Super Blue, you'd better look again. I think we owe Mira Rubel a great debt of thanks, all of us, for having convinced them to come over here. It's going to redefine what you think about light and sound and space and perception. And I mentioned to Franklin Sermons, I said, you guys better figure out how you're going to compete, because that's a show and a half. The Rubel collection, the new museum that the Rubels have put together in that collection of warehouses, is another phenomenal thing. And when you think about ICA combined with Dela Cruz next door, we just have this week I had two major museum directors from New York visiting here, doing their rounds, looking at what's happening and what's Miami showing, what are they doing. That just doesn't happen unless there is real art going on here.
If I could just follow up with that, I think one of the vital points about what Alberto was saying with innovation is that we also have the innovators share that with their colleagues and with other arts organizations and with other artists, so that we don't have to all learn the wheel. Like, we can learn from each other. And that's one of the important things that we're going to be doing in the upcoming year, is to create that kind of convening role so that we can bring together the innovators to share their experiences and to share what they've learned and the tools, so that we can expand that beyond the groups that are making the art right now that way.
That's true. I know that Carl has to
I gotta
leave.
go. Carl, I gotta create.
He's on assignment, but I
Right.
don't know if you have any parting words, Carl, before you
Yeah.
head out.
You know, art in this town, it travels at like a raindrop and like a flood, and it's vital to wherever it lands. You know, you could have a small incubator like that Rosie Gordon Wallace has put together that's had international impact. You know, something really, really small, something where people are committed to excellence, and with partnership of other art stakeholders. I think Miami has produced so many Don Quixotes, people who believe in the impossible dream and who make the impossible possible every day. On that note, I gotta go make some possible images. I thank you all, and hopefully we can all give each other hugs in real life, but virtual is cool for now.
All right.
And stay safe. Hug.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carl. Take care.
Thank you.
So I thought maybe everybody could give us parting words. Laura, what would you like everybody to take away from this discussion?
I think that the vitality and the healing power of the arts is one of the things that's going to bring Miami and bring the world back. My parting thoughts would be that we need to share the love. The arts need our support now more than ever. Attend, watch, tell your friends, share your skills, share your time, donate, buy tickets. Make time to participate and do stuff with the arts, because now more than ever, we need everybody there.
Absolutely. Alberto, I'm going to end with you, Barry.
I keep thinking as we were having this conversation, what inspires me about what makes me so optimistic about what's happening. And as Carl was talking, I was thinking about Francis Twomley and Leighton Rodriguez Casanova with their dimensions variable. who in the world is going to think of that kind of cutting edge intellectual gallery, artists by artists for artists? I think also of Alex Gartenfeld, the absolutely genius, brilliant curator at ICA Miami, and some of the shows that he has put together in that phenomenal new space with the sculpture garden in the back, that I think is one of the jewels of our city. Or I think of the Fund for Black Art that Jorge Perez and Knight Foundation started at PAM, that has really taken off since Franklin Sermons took over, and it was a way of ensuring that people saw themselves and their experience reflected. I think of Adler Guerrier. I think of the filmmakers in this town. I think of they've had a number of issues, but it's also true that the Borscht Film Festival, while it was going, presented, I think it was something at one point, like 17 films of theirs were accepted at Sundance Film Festival, and a dozen of them were by first-time women filmmakers in Miami. The One Night in Miami, that is now a movie that everybody's talking about, was first a play that was developed for Miami Theater on Miami Beach. We're getting it done, and it's being done by not the names on the door, not the names on the side of the wall, but by artists of every stripe and variety. And I think I think that's what most fills me with hope for how this is really just, you ain't seen nothing yet. I think this is great.
Thanks, Alberto. Barry.
Yes, you really ain't seen nothing yet. I think the need that we all have to connect with each other, especially now, gives me a lot of hope for the presentations that the artists and groups are going to be making over the next months and year as we come out of this situation. And I want to say that I need to give thanks to so many of the subjects that trusted me to let me be at their side during their moments of connection and joy. And it takes a lot from a photographer's subject to be comfortable and trust you. And I've been blessed by all the people in the book that you see, that they had confidence in me that I wasn't gonna tell the wrong story or take the wrong angle. And I really have to say thank you to everyone who had allowed me to be at their side. And it's an invitation to all of us that it's easy to get close and to really get into it. And the arts, whether, as Alberto and Laura have said, it's a film or it's a performance, music, theater, an art exhibit, a sculpture garden, just being in a place that Miami offers such a diverse and accessible cornucopia of possibilities. And I just want to encourage us to remind each other that it's so easy to be part of community just by participating in an arts event or going to an exhibit. And this was what really gives me hope, is that I think there's a pent-up need, and I'm hoping that we're able to direct it towards involving more community to participate in the kind of things that you may see pictures of in the book.
Yeah, I agree, ditto. So I want to thank you all. Thanks everyone for dialing in. Laura, Barry, and Alberto, thank you so much for your time. I know you're all very busy. And it was a fascinating discussion. And we're going to actually have the exhibition on our website soon. It's been 3D scanned and he's editing now. So we're going to promote it that way. But we had a small crowd tonight, but I can tell you that the discussion was amazing. It has been recorded and it will be on our website. I'm glad I have that for posterity because it was wonderful to hear what you all had to say. And thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Cheryl, I just want to say thank you again for inviting me, and your team there did an awesome job, especially the guys at Thomas who made the prints and working on the installation design. You guys just are great, and thank you for putting everything into it that you did. And
thanks, Barry.
And I want to invite anyone who's listening to spread the word, and you can see images of the show project, the installation at miamicreative.org.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.